Welcome back, everyone, to Lesser Known Operators. I'm your host, Nicholas Allen, and my guest today is 18 Good Guy. The shrouded in mystery Green Beret has returned, and I kind of went about this thinking about he's been on a lot of shows, told his story in mostly different ways. So I tried with this episode to get a little bit deeper into conversation about who he is, what he wants, and what he thinks about life and things like that. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. Just over an hour and a half, and I'll have links to his socials in the show description. Today's episode, as usual, is brought to you by the Green Beret-owned business, Precision Wellness Group, and Dr. Taylor Bosley. Precision Wellness Group helps you restore balance, unlock vitality through bioidentical hormone therapy and evidence-based, personalized telemedicine. Dr. Taylor Bosley is a board-certified physician, a U.S. Army veteran, and a former Green Beret. He knows where you've been, where you want to go, and how to get you there. And he's an actual doctor who can prescribe you actual medicine. It's a bonus. So if hormone replacement therapy, testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, HRT, peptides is something you've been thinking about for a while now, look no further than Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley. I'll have links to their website and socials in the show description, along with 18 Good Guy. I do appreciate you guys. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, pass these episodes along. Thank you for listening. Leave us a review and enjoy the show. 18 Good Guy. Welcome back to Lesser Known Operators. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, I know what you'll say to this, but the conversation that I had with you originally, the show changed while I was talking to you. About 15 minutes in, I went, I'm not prepared for this conversation. And then a couple weeks later, when I posted it, as soon as I posted it, I'm like, oh, that's a lot of followers. Your fans are ravenous and they follow everything you do and say and keep up with you. So for quite a while, actually, no, I said last night, your episode that we did, the first one, I think it was episode 22, is still, episode 70 comes out tomorrow. It's still the highest viewed across all the platforms, and it's not even close. The one with Jess has half, and then it's still not even close to third place with her. She's got a big chunk, but no, man, I'm glad to have you on, and I appreciate you coming back on to talk with me and my hopefully evolving skill set.
Yeah, I'm absolutely honored, and I'm glad to see your page is growing and stuff. It's very, very cool to watch the evolution of it.
It's work. It's it's a lot of
Yeah,
work, and
absolutely.
I've made it, but as like a job. People, how much time are you putting in, Nick? I said, well, it's like 15 work hours per episode release. Well, how many
Hmm.
episodes are you releasing? Well, 3 a week. So you're just doing 45 hours just on the episodes themselves? And I said, yeah, with the Instagram posts and all the other shit, and
Yeah,
then gym, and then just talking and scheduling and all this other shit. And
yeah,
but I don't have to answer in anybody. If I make a
yeah,
decision,
yeah.
I just do it. And I'm like, okay, we're going to post it and see how people like it. Um, and we can just roll from one thing into the next and go, okay, this doesn't work. This does work. I don't care if people don't like this. I'm going to do this because it makes me better. So it's an
Absolutely.
interesting progression, man.
That's the dream. The absolute dream.
Yeah. To never have to listen to anybody ever again is the dream.
I hope my commanders are major don't hear this, but I completely agree.
Well, they're farther along. They're closer to never having
Yeah,
to listen to anybody ever again.
yeah,
So that's probably more in the front of their mind than it is for you, because I mean the countdown's not even on yet for you.
yeah. No, I hit 12 years this year, so
Is that the 12 years actual, or is that the 12
yes,
years in timeline?
it's 12 years in timeline. Um, it's what is it now? 8 years in actual time, 7, 8. Can't remember with how they calculated it,
Yeah.
but I still feel like a private some days, and some days I feel like, man, I'm too old for this. But luckily I have an unbelievably phenomenal command team right now, and so they listen to me when I say I don't want to do something, and then they tell me to do it anyway, you know. Uh, but they're great.
All right. Yeah, I understand, but we're gonna have to have you do that anyway.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Like, shut
um,
up and do it. Like, yeah, you're right.
great. I you say sometimes you feel like a private. The episode that came out on Friday with the first group sergeant major, um, when he messaged me and said the message was, I want to talk to you about your latest episode. I felt like a fucking little kid that was in trouble. Wait, because I woke
Yeah,
up and I picked up my phone. I went, oh, Nick, what the fuck did you do? Like,
yeah,
for a second there, I was like, oh man, the sergeant major's going to be mad at me that I did something wrong. Wait, I got a beard. What the fuck am I worried about?
yeah. I'm a real person now.
I'm a real boy. If I did
Yeah,
something,
exactly.
I just gotta apologize and be like, I was out of context or something like
Yeah.
that. So, but that's a real fear for you still. Like all the rules, all of it all
Oh,
applies.
100%. Actually, my commander came up to me about 3 weeks. He's our new commander. He's like, dude, I thought you were 18 good guy for a minute. And I went, well, sir, I am. He's like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, yeah. We talked about it, and so it's not like my commands hiding it or anything. So, but that is kind of a forcing function, making me do it the right way. Not be slimy like some of the other social media personalities that we see sometimes come out of soft, which is unfortunate. But because it's also a forcing function, makes me have to live up to what I'm trying to be. So it's good. It's a good thing, I think.
The ambiguity takes 50% of the worry off right away, right? Okay, we're not
Yeah.
tied to me, so now I only have to worry about this little portion. And man, I so now all I see all day long is content, whether I'm posting it or seeing other people's stuff or looking for other funny stuff like, oh, I can riff this, I can do that. And it's my wife asked, she's like, well, what's so wrong with that person's the way they're doing it? I said, I don't know. But if when I look at it, I go, that ain't right. And I
Hmm.
look at this stuff over here and I go, that's fine. That seems fine. And it's very weird, this definition of, okay, that's uncool and this is fine that we have. And you like, if you were to describe it, how would you word that, right?
It's difficult because there's 100 different types of factors that go into it, where you can say, oh yeah, that guy's probably doing it the right way, and 100 factors to the opposite, where you're like, yeah, that guy sucks and he shouldn't be doing that. And he's just making a bad name for us all. So if it's what was the old phrase, like if you can't describe it, but you know it when you see it. I
Or
think
is
that
that the
goes both ways.
definition, the definition for porn by the Supreme Court?
Oh, really? I didn't know that
I
one.
think Ted Lasso said that in the show.
Gosh, I
Was
didn't know that one.
he said as I'm butchering it now, but it's hard to define pornography, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah, yeah, same thing. I would argue.
I was talking to somebody the other day about, cause it's very hard. It's tier two is very easy to get somebody to come and talk, right?
Yeah,
Tier one, not so much. And then even if I have people on that have gone back and come out, we just gloss over it. So
yeah,
I'm at this point where I'm like, is it even worth the effort of trying to get somebody? Because we're just going to talk about moods and feelings and
yeah,
sorts of things. And the one guy I was talking to, he said it's a tough sell because they, the people that have come on the big shows and talked about it, they're PNG. They're totally not accepted in the community anymore.
exactly.
And it takes the right person. And to get all those factors where they can talk about it, be personable, be marketable, and be accepted by the community, there's so few of those people out there. And they're just normal. You wouldn't even see them. They just fade off into everything, and you do it. It's very hard to get to those people because they're just chill and they just fade into the black background.
Yeah, I think it's incumbent upon us, even at the the tier two level, to do that to an extent, because it's I think I talked about this last episode. It's the beret doesn't make us. We're the ones who make the beret, and we're not what we are because we have a green beret. We're able to get the green beret because of who we are, and the kinds of people we are. We're not, and I do believe that most special operations people are remarkable in some way or many ways. And we're not remarkable because we have the accolade. We got the accolade because we did something or proved in some way that we are remarkable. And I think it's like I said, it's incumbent upon us to show ourselves with that responsibility to convey that message. Some people are, they rest on the laurels of having gone to this school or that school, or having gone to this selection or that selection. It's like, that's awesome, man, but that's not the only way to be cool, the only way to be a good person, the only way to be validated. But we all suffer from it. Where the reason we try to reach higher and higher and higher is because we want to validate ourselves to ourselves and hopefully to others, make them think we're the biggest badass or the most worthy or the coolest or whatever. We all, myself included, suffer from it in some way. But like you said, those guys that don't, it's just something they do. Those are the guys that are seriously, seriously good.
Yeah. I was thinking about this as I was falling asleep last night, right? I put up that little cartoon with the guy walking in the water and the devil next to him. He's like, yeah, I'll show you where your next point is, but Special Forces is already going to take your soul. And it's just a stupid little cartoon, but if you start thinking about it and staring at it and reading it and going, fuck, yeah, that's true, right? Is guys will let it take everything from them. And I wrote my little piece in there of things like that. But as I was falling asleep last night, I thought the phrase, like, you can't let this one thing become your entire life or become all your focus. And I went, well, why not? Like, that's kind of what I'm doing, is I'm letting soft right now become my entire life. Why can't, because maybe just the people that did that did it incorrectly. They fucking 50% of their problem was they were heavily self-medicating. Uh, and that's going to set you up for failure right away. So why can't you do something in the right way? And if you always come at it from the perspective of, am I doing this in the correct way where I'm not letting it bring me down? Why can't I do it? Why? I worked so fucking hard to get to where I was and it didn't work out for me. And now I can have an impact on younger guys, on the formation from this position that I've put myself. Why the fuck can't I do that? Okay, how do we do that? Now what steps do we take to make that impact? And what are the backstops when I or my friends recognize, hey, you're getting a little off center here. Okay, so now we got to set these things up. Why the fuck can't you do it? The people that say you can't let it do it is because they let it eat them alive. That's why I think.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting because I typically argue to the opposite, where I'm like, it is just a job, but then I feel myself letting it consume me to a point, where I'm like, I want to reach higher, I want to do this, I want to do that, and we all, like you said, we all suffer from it, and I think that the people that truly get somewhere, and this goes with anything, in soft or otherwise, is that the people that really get somewhere are consumed by whatever they're chasing. 100%. Michael Jordan was consumed by basketball. Uh, and he wouldn't be there if he said, "Oh, basketball's just a job." No, it was who he was. But it's incumbent upon the person to know that that comes at a cost. Um, my aspirations for some of the things I want to do come at the cost of I haven't given myself the bandwidth for a healthy, stable relationship. I haven't given myself the bandwidth to pursue a family. Things like that. And some days you're happy to make the sacrifice, some days you're not. But you have to be honest with yourself about what you're sacrificing, one way or the other.
And it's tough because retired you has to be happy with the decisions you make now. And you're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
retired you yet. Like,
yeah.
I'm completely different than I was the last time I took my uniform off. I was slightly a mess when that happened. And now I'm just slightly less a mess, but I've got a little more shit together. But nobody has their shit together. Everybody's figuring this shit out all the time. I feel like the only time that you can truly be all encompassed or fully encompassed in having your shit together is when you don't have any financial burdens. You don't have that little tick on your back of, oh, we need to make this money and make this bill. Once you get that, not saying you have everything you've ever wanted to where I don't have to worry about this bringing me down anymore. And then you can go, I'm going to go all in on this. And I said with this show, there's a difference. Once the show or the brand or whatever the fuck pops up that I get into can get me to not step away from this to where it's 16, 17 hours a day on this fully in, and I don't have to leave the house or I don't have to not go to the gym. I have to go pick up contracts. That's the amateur to professional level. And it's the same in everything that we have. And even in the military, right? There's even guys in the hallway. There's amateur Green Berets, and then there's professional. That's their career. And then there's guys that operate at the professional level, but they're gonna leave. And it's I don't know. And I'm not saying there's a difference. I'm not saying that they're different Green Berets. They'll do the same job. It's the one is not going to see it all the way through, and the one that makes it their profession, that they are going to see it all the way through. That they're not a difference operationally, they're a difference end state wise, and that feeds into what we were saying.
Absolutely. And I've even tried to ask myself about that. Because there's days, everybody has doubts on certain days. I'm like, man, I don't have this school or I don't have this skill set yet. I'm like, but that one guy does, man. He's the real deal. What is he doing? What is he thinking? What is he saying that I'm not? What extra bit of, for lack of a better term, what extra bit of sauce is he putting on it that I can't grasp? And it's almost unidentifiable. But like we were saying before, you can't describe it, but you know it when you see it. It's those guys that are just always on it, that they have a correct, not just an answer, but a correct answer for everything. They're always making the right decisions. They're just always on it. And my ops sergeant right now is that way. He's my Fox, he's acting as an ops sergeant. Everything he does is the right answer. I'm like, geez, dude, how can I get like that? And he tells me, he's like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing every day. He's like, I feel like I'm messing it up. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're the one I look up to. I don't know how the hell you feel like that, but it's just some people just have it. It's an X factor.
Did you watch The Bear, of the show The Bear?
I did not.
There's this scene. It's cooking. A lot of yelling. Don't watch it while you're trying to fall asleep. It's a lot of yelling.
Okay.
Italian
Yeah.
family. It's going to stress you out, and you won't be able to sleep. But there's a scene in season 3 where the one guy is describing the main character, and he was the chef, and he was the sous chef, right? And he said, one day I just realized I'm not going to be better than this guy. He's better than me at everything. Everything I would do, he was faster, he was better, he was smarter, he had more recipes, blah, 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 right? And then he said, things changed when I made the resolve to try and be like him, not be better than him, because I wasn't going to get. And I said, I worked harder. I poured myself into everything I did. If I needed to do 8, I did it 10. If I did this, and I just worked and worked till I got to where I wanted to be. And I think it's good to have goals and set yourself on this unattainable spot or comparison, right? I got that written down here, comparison. I think about comparison completely different than people say comparison isn't the thief of joy. I think that's
I
a
agree.
crutch, right? I
I agree.
think that if I didn't compare myself to other great people, I wouldn't have accomplished the things I did.
Exactly.
And there's a toxic portion of that, like a bell curve. Everything has an up and a down. You want to be in that middle portion.
Absolutely.
So you saying with your Fox, this guy's making all the right decisions. Now, talking with the first group sergeant major, we've got from you 1, 2, 3 levels up, right? 4. Let's call it 4 actually, because you've got team sergeant, battalion, company sergeant major, battalion sergeant major. Those guys, 30,000 foot view, they can go, oh yeah, this is your problem right here. Why is this E7 not getting promoted to E8? Oh yeah, he thinks the language waiver had been carrying over through deployment, but it doesn't apply to promotion. So that's why you're not getting promoted. And he goes, that was my fault. I let that slip. And he now knows that he's in a position. He goes, that's your problem. That's why you're not getting promoted. They fixed it. He got promoted to the next thing and things like that. But the problem is in the acute, you're sitting at your desk. How can you see what you're doing wrong? Same at SUT. Those cadre, they don't even have to watch us to know what we're doing wrong. They can just listen to what we say and how. And the one guy told me, he's in Ranger Battalion. He said I could tell if the raid was going to be a success by the 240s, just closing my eyes and listening to the 240s. And when you get to that point, you look like you're superhuman, right? But you've trained yourself to be so good in the moment or at the task that it looks like you're a freak, and you're not. You're
Yeah.
just good. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it takes so much effort to make it look effortless. Going back to the Michael Jordan or the Kobe Bryant, whatever athlete you want to idolize, how many thousands and thousands of hours did it take to be able to make every free throw on command, to make most of your three pointers on command? It does take an unbelievable amount of work to make hard things look really easy. And some people, they catch on to things faster. And, that's, and I think that goes for any kind of skill set or acumen. We have this Como kid who set up one of our networks in like 2 hours. We couldn't believe it. And this kid,
25 series.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. I mean, I can barely log into my email some days. And this kid, is, well, my buddy and I were talking, we're like, dude, he could never, ever be a Green Beret, no matter how hard he ever tried. But you know what? I could never do what he does, man. Like he is talking to the machine spirit in there. It's, so some people are going to get things that you don't get in any kind of realm.
Same when we went to Korea. Shout out to my buddy Brandon. He, as you said, he could speak. He could see the Matrix or whatever the
Yeah,
fuck it was,
seriously.
and he just get that shit. And the echoes are all like, hey, can you help me with this? And then echoes always got. If they don't have a 25 series guy in their back pocket, they are wrong. They are
100%.
wrong. But um, you're on the B team now, right?
Yeah, I
I
am.
I I just wrote down some taglines and I wanted to bring up about your page, right? You've still got on there not a soft mentor, but you are now
Yeah.
technically the senior Charlie in the company.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about that now?
Well, I make it known to every single person in my company, of course. Hey, listen, you're talking to the senior Charlie of the company. I got it all figured out. Feeling I have nothing figured out on most days, and just stumbling my way forward. Um, actually, my old senior, he's an E8 Charlie. It's the weirdest thing that he's not a team star at the moment, but he's an E8 Charlie. And I keep reminding him, like, dude, don't worry, I'm the senior guy in the company, and you're in good hands with me. But like I said, I still feel like a private most days. And even though things are falling into place, which I feel very fortunate for, I still don't know my elbow from my ass most days, it feels like. And I don't have the answers to almost anything a lot of days. And it's frustrating, but then it's like, okay, well, it's not like I don't have any foot to stand on. I know whom to ask. I know generally whereabouts the answer might lie. And if I can't get it from this person, well, I can go to the next person. And then, you think about it, like, okay, that's what a green bird really does. It's not that we have all the answers, but we know to know who will have them. So it's I bear, on paper I'm the senior Charlie in the company, but I'm definitely not. I'm leaning on the guys and the teams who've been there way longer than I have to give me the answers for the processes that they've done and I haven't, and the processes that I didn't even know existed, and the random online trainings that I like. Where do I find this? So I still have more questions than answers, um, and I still 100% do not feel in a position to mentor. for special operations, that's for sure.
Still don't, but there's guys more junior than you in the company, but
Yep.
they've still all have seniors because the B team only has one Charlie slot still, right?
So each we're supposed to have 2 slots for every MOS, but right now where we're standing, it's all one man shows per section.
So, but that shit happens, man.
But yeah,
I got injured. I went to the B team. I mean, it's traditionally a more senior guy spot, but it
yeah,
never is. It never
yeah.
is, unless they're also the op sergeant. And then I made a deal and I went over and actually took the senior Charlie position with no team time, maybe no non-memorable team time. I think as a Charlie 4, I was on my dive team.
Holy
And then
crap!
I got hurt, and then I was Charlie 2 and on a B team, and then Charlie 1. So, oh fuck, people are expecting me to have the answers. Oh, I'm just gonna do what I did last time, and that'll work out. And I come
Yeah,
back, and then I'm Battalion Charlie, and it's like, oh fuck, what am I supposed to do here?
yeah.
Uh, you're gonna have to figure this shit out, and whether you like it or not, people are gonna come to you because you're sitting in the chair. So I mean, even senior guys will have to be coming up to you and going, "Hey, where is this? What is this? I need to do this,"
All
and
the
that shit
time.
like that because they haven't been on the B team. These are E7 Charlies that have been on a team for 4 to 6 years and they haven't been on the B team, so they're coming to you. So whether you like it or not, you're having to work with or mentor them. So it's got to be an interesting position for you for coming up as I'm not a mentor to now, well, I'm in the seat and I got to do something, at least lead from the seat.
Absolutely. It's every day, and of course I give him crap like you should know the answer to this. I'm junior to you, dude. Why are you asking me this? But it- and the E8 guy that I'm talking about, he's awesome. Dude knows the army in and out. He's forgotten more about the army than I'll ever learn. Um, and he knows all the processes, ins and outs. And then he asked me like, why don't you have this done for us already? I'm like, well, I didn't even know it could be done. I didn't know you needed it done. And then he coaches me on how to get it spun up and make it happen, and everything just it works out. So and then there's some stuff I've been able to arrange on my own, because of my own accord that have also worked out. And what I can say was recycling the Charlie course was probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me because I am relied upon as the master forklift driver for everywhere. And I learned how to drive it really well. So I'm not saying people should recycle the Charlie course, but if you are a Charlie or want to be a Charlie, go drive whatever forklift you're going to the night before so you don't look like an idiot the day that you need to use it. And but it's seriously it's paid a lot of dividends. Um, where my logistics and Excel and email skills may lack, if you can still put on those physical skills and put them on display in the times of need where the larger or the higher echelons are really looking for someone to be able to do it, and you step up, then you're golden. It's more so the willingness to find and do than the ability initially.
If that property book is squared away and then
Ugh.
the commander can walk out and go, is it all there? Yes, sir. All right. That's the top of the mountain. As simple as that little phrase sounds there, if I don't know, whatever. Other Charlies might disagree with me or not, but I was a Charlie, right? I didn't get to go operate on a team or be
Yeah,
operational. I got to do fucking inventories. And the commander came out once and he said, "Is it all there?" And I said, "Yeah." And he fucking left. And I went, "I guess that's probably as good as it's going to get in my career
yeah,
right there." And I think about that all the time because he went and got in the Bravo's ass for like 3 days or some shit like that.
yeah. Well, and there's different levels of trust and different areas of trust. And like I said, I'm really lucky. My command team is is better than I ever could have hoped for in a command team. They're just incredible, just awesome. And that's the kind of dynamic that I've been fortunate enough to build with them. Is that if when you build that kind of trust, you can say something even when you're not, one of the senior guys. You can say something and be trusted, and that I think is a really really incredible feeling.
So a growing mentor, a growing leader in your role as your staff sergeant or sergeant first class now?
In about, what is it, the 18th? About 12 days, 20 or 13 days, I'll be in E7. So right on the
Congratulations.
cusp. Thank you. Thank you.
Um, Sidebar, I got promoted on my last day in because of the medical retirement. Guy I had on interviewed earlier the week. I got to meet him on this job. I was working in Oklahoma. And I was like, "Did you get out a 7 or an 8?" He's like, "Oh, it's a fucking 7, man." And he's like, "I made the 8 list, and then I got medically retired." I said, "Oh, did you get promoted?" He goes, "No." I said, "Well, the Army regulation, whatever the fuck, if you're on the promotable list and you get medically retired, you get promoted the day before you get out." And he goes, "You serious?" I was like, "Yeah." And next time I saw him, I was like, "Are you in E8?" He's like, "Yeah, they're fixing it."
That's
So
awesome.
I was happy for him that that stupid thing I paid attention to in the brief, but it's a big deal,
Yeah.
because I have to go to the Navy base here, and E7's they're
Great
like
Lakes. Yeah.
E7's a lot different than in my mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Well, especially in
so
the Navy, the E7s are segregated pretty much. They're like gods over there.
it's very strange. And I asked people about it, and they go, "That's just how it is, man. That's just how it's tough to get to chief." I said, "Not for us, not for
Yeah.
us."
It's almost automatic.
All right, so still growing in your role, but 18 good guy is not a soft mentor and not somebody to come to for your career path of going forward or your um like do you still, I imagine, because you'll put up on your story and go no selection questions or no prep questions still, and right like that, I've I'll take them on, um and just give my opinion. Mine are very, information's old, but I just refer them to the other guys and things like
Yeah.
that. I feel like the other guys, they've got such a thing established. But one thing somebody brought up to me is the sometimes all the information generally the same. Some people have a different secret or a different angle if they look at it. It's me or it's that person. They like that person and listening to them and how they put out their information. And I was like, okay, I didn't think about that. If you're asking me, you want me to tell you generally the same information because you are able to, maybe you understand it better. Do you ever think about that when people ask you questions, that they're coming to the question for not necessarily the answer, but for you?
Absolutely. And so there's only specific subsets of questions that I don't like answering. Like if you can find it on a Google search, I'm going to point you to Google, because you have to be resourceful. Where's seventh group? Okay, dude, just Google it. Now, how long is selection? Okay, you can Google that. Um, what Ranger versus SF? What should I do? Well, dude, Google it, find what their mission set is. It's all publicly available information, and make your decision as best you possibly can. I can't make these kinds of decisions for you. So that stuff I don't like answering. Um, as far as fitness stuff, dude, I have worked my ass off to be front of the middle of the pack physically. I went from obesity to, I'm a Green Beret, but I'm nowhere near one of the top performers physically by any stretch. So I don't feel qualified to, maybe a little bit to help people who are like just getting started. So I did put a free workout program on my website for people who are like, this is not a selection plan. This is to get you off your couch. But as far as like getting dudes in shape to get selected, like I said, I'm front of the middle of the pack physically. So I don't feel like my advice is going to be super solid advice. Whereas you get guys like Kevin Smith from Terminator Training, that dude went and crushed the long walk and freaking is just a physical specimen and has tons of coaching experience. So yeah, he's going to be a way better resource than I am. So I'd rather direct people to much like being the Charlie. I don't have the answers, but I can point you to who does. But I still get people quite often in the inbox. They'll give me a wall of backstory and a wall of this and that, and then of course a dichotomous question: should I this or should I not, or what do I do? And it's the only thing that I feel I can offer is not saying, oh, this is better or you should do this, but it's, hey, here's the perspective I usually take. not saying you have to, because all these questions are just so contextual, which is why I try to stray away from the mentor title, because in order to do that, I feel it has to be more of a one-on-one thing, and you're not going to be able to give me enough context to help you make a real decision, within the confines of an Instagram message. So that's why I deign to use the mentor title. Now, hopefully, what some of the things that I answer or some things I say can help people maybe improve the way they look at things, or shift the way they see them, and hopefully that helps them make their decisions and get that fire under their ass, or whatever they're needing in that moment. But I don't want to assume the title of mentor, because I feel like that is more of a guiding role, and there's just not enough one-on-one intimate interface for me to feel comfortable doing that, if that makes sense.
It does. There's a limited interaction. You're not really working with the person. This message pops up and goes, "Oh, what do you think of this?" And then you got the words on the page, and you're gonna go, "Okay." One that I guess, in my head is like a binary answer. All right. Should I go to selection? Do you want to? Yes. Okay, go. No, don't go. Maybe. Okay. Um, is this something you thought about for a while? Yes. Go.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
too long. Okay, let's give it some more thought. Or is this something that you'll regret later? Maybe. Are you regretting not going now? Yes. Go. And things
Hmm.
like that. Like what with that we talked about it, that future you. What's future you going to think
Yeah,
about now you's decision? And are they going to be happy with it? And back to my little
exactly.
cartoon, right? Are you
Yeah,
willing to pay that price to go do these things? Terminator training, again, he put up the other day. He is getting sick of people saying they're all in. And I jumped in the comments and went, unless you're willing to lose your house and your family, you're not all in.
yeah,
That's what all in means. You're willing
yeah,
to them come repossess your house and be out on the street to accomplish what you're trying to do. A lot of guys in the Q course, when I went through, that was 100% their me as well. I was willing to fucking lose everything to get
yeah,
there, and that's. And I talked to one cadre, and he said if guys gave the hint, they didn't have to be that dedicated, but if they gave a hint that they weren't, they didn't make it. They would just seem to fade off, or I need a pass for this for something that didn't matter. I mean, core family, dad died and stuff. Okay, understandable. But like somebody I used to know died. They seemed like he's like not to be insensitive, but they didn't graduate. They just I don't know where they went. They were gone. They never saw shit like that. So there's so much that goes into it. But what are you willing to what what concessions are you willing to accept to get what you want? And are you going to be happy as an old man or woman with those decisions?
well, yeah, and I feel like what a lot of people are looking for, at least it's just my perception of a lot of the questions that I get. I'd be curious to hear if it's the same for you, but a lot of these people, they don't have a ton of encouragement in their life. They don't have people telling you you can do this, or you should try, or you should at least try to become the person that could do this. Aim, as Jordan Peterson says, aim up. And so I've been unbelievably fortunate to have people in my corner at every step of the way. Just believing in me more than I believe in myself, believing in me more than the reality on the ground says you should believe in me. So I'm very, very, very fortunate in that regard. But a lot of people don't have that. And so what it seems like they're seeking is permission, permission from somebody who they feel is able to give it, that they can try to achieve or try to make the endeavor. One of the big ones I get is, do you think I'm too old? How do you think I'm too old? Like, you know, did you Google it? What does the age say? It says, well, 35 without a waiver. Ah, so there's a waiver for 35. And how old are you? Well, I'm 27. Is that too old? Look, there's a waiver for age 35. That means you're not too old. all you're looking for is for me to say, nope, not too old, you can go for it, because you're afraid of the outcome being a variable that you cannot control. But I tell you what, most of the variables you can control. And then there is the element of stupid luck to it. Um, but what people are seeking is for someone that they I struggle. I don't want to say look up because I don't want to say, oh, people look up to me, but somebody that they feel has the ability to grant the permission to them. They want it, there, and that's a need for validation that, we obviously we search for people who don't need that validation, who are able to self start. But for some people, I come at it from the perspective I really had a lot of that validation. I had, like I said, I had a ton of people in my corner, and some of the dudes don't. So they just want that one thing, and maybe to flip the switch. And so hopefully in some way, we can provide it to them. But so, and sometimes it's the tough love that you have to do. It's like, well, if you're not gonna make the decision to do it, then that's on you. You're never gonna do it if you don't start now.
There's as far as motivation, everybody's got their niche though, right? You'll hear people's story and you'll go, how the fuck did this person overcome all of that shit and now they're there? Like, holy fuck, right? Like, I can't even imagine that. um what, like, broken home, abuse, bouncing around, living in poverty, starving, in a ward of the state, and then sergeant major, like, and shit like that. You're like, how the fuck? Those people were made by literally in a crucible, right? Just in tempered in shit, as George Carlin would say, tempered in raw shit. That's a subsect. As far as I say on the show, God, I want to be successful to prove correct the people that believe in me in their assessment of me,
Yes. Yep.
because they believe in me 100% of the
Hmm.
time, and I only believe in me like 48 hours a week. The number changes
Yeah.
for people that listen to
Yeah.
me say this, but it
Yeah.
fluctuates. And that's why I say, right? I'll go
Yep.
from 100% I can take over the world to I'm the biggest piece of shit that's ever lived while
Yeah.
having a
Yeah.
podcast in the same fucking 10 minutes. I do it during the show. Like, while we're recording, I'm like, man, what the fuck am I doing over here? Well, I got first group sergeant major talking to me. Fucking stand up, sit up straight, Nick. God damn it.
Yeah.
Think of better questions. And then to really, so why did you make this decision that impacted these people, and just really on point and shit like that. And that's all
Yeah.
the time. That's normal person. But the people who support you, they believe in you all the time. Don't prove people wrong that say you're going to fail. Don't, that's like, you're coming from a negative to a positive. Why not just go from a positive to a positive? And that's some math equation shit. As a Charlie, I'm sure we fucking had to do some of that stuff, but that's probably going to feel better of people believe in you and you prove them right. But the flip side of that is, God, to try and then disappoint those people, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to undertake.
It
Um,
is.
and I think there's a fear of that. I know there's a fear of that. Everybody's afraid of failing, but everybody
Yeah.
who makes it far, they will always say, "Oh, I failed," and then I just figured, failed forward. I just kept failing. Even Sergeant Major the other day, he's like, "I don't know. I seemed like I failed my whole career, or at different times." And then all of a sudden, I had leader. He's like, I had leaders that. And he said, no, until now, even now, I have leaders that I look up to and go to for advice and shit like that as a group CSM. So it doesn't end. But it's tough to get somebody to believe in their self and what they actually do. And maybe it is just that one person. I talked to a guy the other day, did a couple of voice notes back and forth. And I said, honestly, man, you sound like this decision is eating at you, and I feel like you're already regretting not making it. So you might want to think about making that decision so that you don't go further down the rabbit hole, or however I termed it, because yeah, you're still young, but time is not on your side. And the army is always trying to severely injure you or kill you at any given time.
Yeah. I mean, there's one of the things I've talked many times with some of the buddies about, selection and how some dudes go away and you're like throughout the course or selection or whatever, and you're like, how the hell did he get dropped? That guy, he's Captain America. He's beating everyone in every physical event. He's smarter than everyone. How did he get dropped? And I'm still here. And I had one buddy who is the 18 Delta honor grad. I mean, this dude is so smart, is ridiculous. And while we were going through the course, he said, "Dude, every day I wonder when they're going to figure out that I'm not supposed to be here." I was like, "Oh my god, did I feel the same way a lot of times?" So that there's always that shred of doubt until you made it to the other side of like, am I worthy? But all you're trying to do in this process is prove to yourself and the world that you are who you said you were. And I think I watched that slip away for some people throughout the course of it. But I tend to think now, because there is luck involved, like legitimately just stupid luck and unluck, that you are actively proving that by being the guy who endeavors. I think of Teddy Roosevelt's "The Man in the Arena" speech, and the only ones who really have a say in it are the people that are doing it, that have the stones to do it, and being the guy that raises their hand and goes in spite of the odds of failure, in spite of the statistics, in spite of it all, and says, I'm going to try anyway. Whether you make it or not, you have the eternal respect of everyone who's ever gone, um, who's ever gone through anything difficult, no matter what it is. And I think it is like just subjecting yourself to the crucible shows that you're the person you said you were. Maybe the capabilities aren't exactly what you thought they were. Maybe there's things you need to work on that you didn't know about, but that's not failure. That's learning. The only genuine failure, it's so cheesy, but the only genuine failure to me is not trying. Never making the endeavor in the first place. Yeah, exactly.
That's the only failure you don't have to live with.
Yep, exactly.
So we're describing in there veiled imposter syndrome, right? And I get a lot of questions on that one. Is what do you feel? I'm like, I feel it all the fucking time. I'm on social media, like I can see the best version of not a direct competitor, but a similar type of situation as mine. And I'm like, how the fuck did this person think of that? Like, why didn't I think of that? Like, what am I doing here? Why am I
Yeah,
so stupid? Um, and I'll be like, God, that's so fucking brilliant that they're doing that. And then, but okay, do I belong here? Am I an idiot? Like, everybody feels it. And the people that don't feel it? The people that don't fucking belong there. They don't feel
yeah.
it because they don't.
The
There's
egos
this
that don't make it.
inverse relationship because everybody that I've talked to that is successful to the point where the outside viewer, 99% of the population would be like, damn, you know, that person is their first time being there. And they go, I can't believe I'm standing next to these people. I'm lumped in this conversation with these people that I used to look up to. And those people that you're around, they're looking around going, I got to keep up with these guys. Like, fuck. It was easy when I was in the 99% of the pool, but now I'm in the 1% of the pool. I got to keep up with these guys. That's a
Yeah,
weird competitive. So you don't feel like you belong there either. When am I going to lose that 0.1% and drop back down into the 99, right? I got to stay there. Just like your Delta said, it's a constant worry of, man, they're going to figure out that I don't belong here. But as you said, right, nobody sees that Delta's been up all night studying line for line because he's scared of failing, or he's scared of going back to the regular army, or he could just be afraid of his roommate beating him on a test, or his roommate losing him, or him losing his roommate. He doesn't want to lose that. It could be any of these things that he's working towards to be better.
yeah,
That nobody sees that shit because we all go home, we all disappear and come back. It's only in the team room when we all act tough,
yeah,
but nobody
yeah.
sees all that other shit. Even the people that you're closest with don't see that shit. It's crazy, isn't it?
But and I think there's an element that maybe they're not supposed to. There's some things that, many things that most things even that you can lean on each other for, but there's some things you just have to figure out yourself. And the only way to figure it out is by going through it, you know, and picking yourself up and, it's the popular phrase. And I caught on and like, I got to use this too. Do it scared. I'm terrified every day. The first time I jumped out of a plane, my legs were shaking so bad. I was like, dude, this jump master, she's gonna think I'm the biggest bitch in the world because I'm over here quaking like Bambi, and I just look stupid. But I'm jumping off that freaking plane. There's no question about it. And it's all the time I do stuff that I'm terrified of. But that's the courage and fear are the exact same physiological sensation. Which is the only difference is action. And when the courageous act in spite of their fear. People who don't feel fear, they're lying. It's a animalistic emotion.
My audience can take this as true or not. 80 episodes recorded. Let's call it just 3 hours with pre-recording and recording. So 240 hours of just recording time for the show this year so far. That's a lot of fucking time. Coming on with you today has been the episode I've been most nervous about because I can remember the exact moment when I changed the whole show speaking to you, and I went, this is you're in a professional setting. People are always going to hear this, Nick. Sit up straight, get on this guy's level, and speak how you can speak to him and speak to him the right way. Speak to your guest how they're speaking to you, and give and talk to them like the people listening in their car would want to ask these questions. You're having a conversation, Nick. And so now, sitting here today, fuck, man, do I know? Can we do that again? Okay, let's make a couple notes. Can we do that again? Can we duplicate it? And I can't. I'm 50 episodes better. Fuck yeah, I can do that.
Yeah,
Am I still like feel not prepared? Oh, fucking course I do. I mean, are people going to listen to this? I never know. Like, I never know.
yeah,
And I release stuff and I hope people enjoy it. But
yeah,
really, you don't know. And as you said, do it scared. Maybe I'm not scared. Maybe I'm just allowing my audience to creep into my head of like, who is listening to this? Especially when I released that one with the Sergeant Major on Friday. As soon as I woke up, I went, fuck, everybody in first group's going to listen to that. Did you do a good enough job, Nick? Did you sit up, like, represent well? The guest is on the guest, but but some of that's with me to make them represent themselves well. Give conversation. I don't want to pull them too far to one side to the other because that's the show
absolutely.
and things like that. So, um, yeah, we and the voice in our head are our biggest fucking problem every time. Every time. And Major Decker said it at selection, your mind is going to give up a long time before your body. Like, your body will just fucking go until you drop dead. Your mind's going to quit every time. Every fucking time.
Yeah, but I think you're supposed to be your own worst critic because you know every single mistake you've ever made. No one else does, or they say, oh, you're often harsher on yourself than other people are going to be. Good. You probably should be. You're the only one who knows how boneheaded you are. Um, and to lay yourself bare, the potential for other people to see your flaws. That's the most terrifying thing there is in the world. I used to tour as a musician when I was in the reserves, and I probably played, I don't know, 7,500 gigs in the 2 years that I was touring. My biggest audience was about 400 people. Nothing insane, but not small. And it didn't matter if it was that 400 people or if it was my dad in the audience. I was shaking every time. I was super nervous. I'm like, people are gonna think I suck. And every mistake I made on playing or singing, I'm like, oh man, I didn't hit that note the way I wanted to. I just messed up that chord or whatever. And then you get done playing, people are like, oh, that was awesome. There was this, there was that. And you're like, thanks, but I could have done better. And you can always be improving, but it doesn't matter how many times when you lay yourself bare out there for others to judge you, it's going to be terrifying. And no matter what the endeavor is that we undertake, we do that in some way, shape, or form. And we tell the world that we have acumen at singing, or we have acumen at conversing, or we have acumen at rocking, or what, polite skills, whatever it is that we're testing ourselves in, and we're throwing ourselves into the fires of. We're telling the world that I'm the person that can do this. I'm the person that's able to accomplish this. And in some way, shape, or form, we stake the quality of our identity in that, in our ability to obtain the thing that we said we were going to be able to obtain. And that's terrifying. And so when you don't reach it, it is devastating. It's by design. Failure, we, and I believe this is shifting back now, but for the last 15 or so years in the United States, it's been the participation trophy culture, the you matter no matter what. But for men especially, a lot of our value comes in our utility and what we're able to provide, what we're able to produce for others. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to step up and create ourselves. But when we come up short in that, it's not supposed to feel good. And so I don't like the coddling nature of people say, oh, that's okay. It's like, no, failure sucks. You failed. You came up short, and you know what? You should feel like shit. I'm can't remember if it was you I told, or maybe Beyond the Trek. But I got selected, had 2 weeks of leave, and was like, kind of using it as an excuse. I just got selected. I'm not really working out. I'm kind of, recovering, spending time with family. And then I got back to student company, and we were doing our class at PT test, and I failed by a sit up, by one sit up. And they were like, are you kidding me, dude? You just got selected. I was, oh my God, I can't believe I messed this up. And that day, I was right back in the gym, you know, killing myself with sit-ups. I was on the track, sprinting. I was doing that. I was doing everything I possibly could, because that failure, I had just made it, quote unquote. I'm in. I'm on the way. I'm on the path, baby. But still came up short. So, and it was supposed to make me feel like crap. And if I would have played it off and been nonchalant about it and be like, yeah, it's fine. These things happen. I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be doing anything I am. So failures are supposed to suck, and risking them is supposed to be terrifying. That's, I I'm on a diatribe now about it, but I don't think that being hypercritical of yourself is a bad thing. Obviously, with exception. Like you said, there's that bell curve and limits to everything. But you should be hard on yourself and graceful with others. I genuinely believe that.
How about towards your subordinates, and when you're maybe leading them? Because you're going to come into this now, because your next assignment, you'll be a senior, and you're going to come into the mentor role, where you're going to get, most likely, if we look at the numbers, you're going to get an 18 X-ray Charlie coming out of this horse that has never seen a formation. Well, I shouldn't say that. They have basic training on us. They haven't seen anything in the Army other than training. And now they're going to come to you and expect you to know literally everything. How are you going to deal with that? With yes, failure's supposed to suck, but now I'm a parent, basically.
But actually, I already had a junior, so my ODA, I was the junior for like 5 months, and then my senior got moved to the B team, and I became the senior. And so my first, or yeah, my middle kind of like 15 months, I actually had a junior. He was awesome. I really lucked out. But there were definitely times, where you're like, what the hell? Well, that was so boneheaded. Why'd you do that? But then you're like, wait, I've probably done something dumber than that. So there is an element of grace. We have this other support kid right now. He's a Sebring kid in our battalion. They just did a mock board for him the other day, and super charismatic. The kid knows his stuff, and he's like, you know, putting dents in the door. He's knocking so hard. He's super enthusiastic, and he's 75 pounds overweight. And so we're asking, who failed him before? Who did this? And the board president sent him right to me. came to me and he had a big smile on his face, like, Sarn. He's like, uh, I got told I'm way too fat, so I'm coming to you. And I was like, okay, that's, well, what do you want to do about it? He said, well, I want to get in shape and I get promoted. I said, okay. I was in your exact shoes. Um, you're going to give me your metrics and you're going to test yourself on 5-mile push-ups, pull-ups, this and that. You're going to tell me your body weight. You're going to tell me how tall you are. And we're going to make a training plan and I'm going to work out with you and we're going to get this solved while we're here. So, in some, and I have to catch myself, sometimes I see fat soldiers and I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing? How do you not see like you're such a problem and you're a liability to your guys? And then I have to think like, dude, that was me. So, and so I'm fortunate that I had that experience so I'm able to easily put myself in the position of grace, but it also, you know, if they're like that kid, when he approached me, dude, I will do anything for you. I'm subordinate or not. You came to me for help, dude. I will break my back for you. I will get, whatever I have to do to get you where you need to be, I will do it. But then you get, the other side of the coin where people, I don't need you. Just don't tell me what to do. Stop. You're singling me out, this and that. And it's like, well, how am I supposed to help you if you don't even help yourself? Um, so like I said, the parenting way, you got kids pretty much. It's it's different. And when I came through the X-ray program, I was already an E5, and I had to go to basic, the full 22-week OSUT as an E5. And to this day, even though they are grown men, Green Berets, some of them are almost E7s as well. They're my kids. They're still my kids, and some of them still ask me questions about stuff. I'm like, I don't know. You've been in as long as I have at SF. But it's if uh, if you're able to just communicate with people like a human being and have high standards, but yet grace, that's all tough love is, then people are going to be more willing to achieve the standards you set for them.
Pretty introspective guy and self-aware. Do you feel your ability to have perspective and empathy changing? And are you aware of it?
I guess maybe not perceptibly. I mean, the hope is always that it's always improving, and I'm 100% sure that I'm coming up short in every way possible. In some way, there's always improvements we've made. There's always um, areas where you can batten down the hatches, as they say, improve your fighting position. Um, but I would like to. My goal is always to try to understand, so that even if I can't relate, even if I can't put myself in a frame of mind, even if I just don't understand the root motivations, perhaps I can identify the causes. Perhaps I can just have some knowledge of why. So even if I can't put myself in the shoes and walk around in them, I can at least understand what brand of shoes they are. If that metaphor makes sense. Um, yeah, I always hope you're improving, and you'd like to think that most people become more empathetic with age, but I also think that empathy has limits. And I don't think that just being a huge ball of empathy is always what's needed. Sometimes you have to be stern. Sometimes you have to be gruff. Sometimes you have to put your foot down. You didn't love your dad just because he was super soft and super understanding. Sometimes he whooped your ass, and he had to. And you realize later on that he did have to. He did that because he loved you. Um, and it goes back to having those high standards for people. Sometimes when people have high standards for you, they get mad when you don't reach them, and they get upset, or they get they feel betrayed in some way, or whatever they're feeling. And so it's the two-way street. But I think that if you are practicing empathy in the correct way, you're being prudent about where and when you apply it. It also manifests itself inversely to what we're usually taught, is that when you do foster people's success, you're also happy in their success. So their happiness essentially becomes your own. Like my best friend, this guy is, I can scarcely believe he's a real human being someday. I mean, he's just a monster of a human. He's like 265 pounds, runs a 12-minute 2 mile. He's a captain over at first group. And he's one of the smartest people I know. And this dude could sell fire to a dragon. I mean, he's just got the sauce of everything all around. I mean, there's so many things I look up to him, and I feel fortunate that my best friend is one of the people I look up to the most. And his most sterling quality is that he makes you talk to him for 10 minutes and he makes you feel like you've already got in the bag. No matter what you're shooting for, it makes you feel like not only are you the guy that can do it, you're the guy that already did it. You might as well have done it 20 times over already. He helps you to believe in yourself so much. And that's the kind of person that you want to be. Because when you do make it, when you're like, hey, dude, that thing that you helped coach me through, that thing that you talked with, it worked out. You did it. And he's the kind of guy, we did it. He genuinely takes on your success as his own, and is genuinely happy. And that kind of empathy, that's hard to teach. But one that you can adopt. You can just decide to not be jealous. You can decide to not be so envious of what people have. And I think that when you do have the control over the empathy, taking it to the scrupulous ends, it's easier as well to get on that backside where you're like, okay, I'm not being. Usually those people that are over balls of over niceness, they're not really like truly looking out for you. They're just trying to manage the emotional situation so that there's no conflict. Um, and where it was when it's the other way, it's not necessarily the case. They want what's best for you.
So, in that light, with mentors and what I said earlier about proving the people that believe in you right, to what end are you working towards to prove the people that are either mentoring you or believe in you correct right now with your career or with what you're trying to do on the other side of things?
It's the only way, and maybe this is the right way to look at it. Maybe this is the wrong way. I'm not sure, but the honest way is that I feel I'm coming up short all the time. I feel like I tell, I confide with people that, hey, these are my goals. This is what I want to do. And there's days where I'm like, man, I'm crushing it. Moments I'm crushing it. And then you do the one thing that maybe you knew you weren't supposed to do. I got a donut yesterday. We got all these physical goals right now, and I had a donut yesterday. I'm like, I should have done that. Just little stuff. But again, it goes back to when you're making those micro mistakes, and we're all letting people down in some way. Um, but usually most of that is in here, which again, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Um, I'd like to say that I'm absolutely crushing it, and that you know I'm being everything that everyone thinks that I am, but I am not even being everything that I want to be. That's what, half the stuff I write on my page is to myself. Um, and I'm coming up short of my expectations of me all the time, and I think most people do. And it's what else can you do other than identify what you did wrong, what you're doing wrong, or what you're not doing altogether, and then say, okay, well, how can I change that? What steps do I need to take in order for that to not be the case? And then take them, and then probably mess it up, and then say, okay, why did I mess up? And then correct that, and then your path kind of zigzags along, and like you said, you fail forward, you stumble into success somehow, and um, somehow people are proud of you. And I was, whatever you think is lacking in yourself, well, you don't have to accept that. You can change it at any time. But barring, say, like a physical disability. whatever you think you're missing, you can just decide to change it. I don't like the modern trope that things, oh, everything takes time. You know, you have to inoculate yourself with little doses of things. You take small bites at a time. No, screw that, man. You can change yourself overnight. You can just decide. You can just decide to be different overnight. That in the middle of the day, you can say, "I'm not going to be that anymore." Um, and I know it because I've done it with some things, and then I've come up short on other things in it. You know, I've watched people do it in many different facets. Uh, they just decide that they don't want to be the person that they've been historically. So they say, I'm not that anymore. And then they're not. It is as simple as that. And it is the hardest thing ever. So I don't like to say, oh, it's as easy as that. It's as simple as that. But it's one of the hardest things you could possibly do.
I've said this a couple times on the show and trying to work it out and saying it correctly, but I wanted to see what you thought about it. People say there's two types of people out there. There's winners and losers, or however they break it down. And then I started thinking about that and talking on the show and talking to more people. And I went, no, there's one type of person. The problem is choice. Like they said in the Matrix, the problem is choice. And you can say that's wrong. You can say that right. But some of those choices for the better will kill you. Like, I don't recommend uh, drinking a handle of vodka every other day and then one day deciding you're not going to do that. That decision might kill you. In that instance, might not be the best
Yeah,
overnight
yeah,
decision to take. That's a real
right.
thing. Delirium tremens, you might actually kill you, but you can overnight decide to pave a new path or go a different direction. That things might come up from past interdictions to rear their head, but like the problem is choice. It's the choice. I can make a choice to be an asshole, or I can make a choice to be a good person, or just be nice to people. Um, Now, when the stuff, the alcohol is talking to you, well, you're not going to make a right choice. You're going to have another voice in your head making another choice for you, but that's still not a real person, right? I don't know. What I came up with is there's one type of person, and they make a choice to go left, or they make a choice to go right.
I couldn't agree more. And I have a not so great mom. She's made a ton of choices in her life that have took her down let's say less than savory path. That has made her not the most pleasant type of person to interact with. And I've got a bunch of siblings, and a couple of them made similar choices. But one of them very recently made a huge choice. I'll spare the details, obviously, to protect her privacy. But she confided in me. She said, I worry I'm going to end up like mom. I worry so badly that genetically I'm 50% her, so I'm going to end up like her. And all I want is a good mom. And I said, well, by taking these steps of self improvement that you are actively proving that you are not the same as her. Because you both have had the exact same choice, and the fact that you have made it already. Yeah, and might not be at where you see your goalpost or your end state. You might not be there. That doesn't matter because you're on you both had this similar looking fork in your path, and she went right and you went left. And because of that, you are specifically different. And and going back to what I said, we felt that we didn't get this good mom, we didn't get this whatever. Well, then you got to be it. If you feel that you have been slighted of something in life and it's that impactful to you, then you be that change. If you didn't have a good father, well then, by God, you got to be a good father. And maybe that'll heal something in you. Um, and so you're so correct. We all have similar trials, tribulations, thoughts, and similar choices to be made. The real difference is just in making it. And a lot of people go through life afraid of the outcomes of things, and they think that not making a choice precludes them from the disastrous consequences of some things. But in reality, the lack of choice is an even bigger consequence, an even bigger detriment to what they say they want. Because a lot of people say they want a lot of things. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to have money. I want to have this job. I want to have this title, this accolade. But they don't make the choices that are requisite to having that thing, having that status, that title, that characteristic, personality, no matter what it is. So a lot of people talk about what they want, but really it's their actions, their choices of action that really display what they want and who they are.
Acta non verba from the guest yesterday.
Exactly.
I
Yes,
see,
exactly.
for those listening at home, I scroll a lot of Instagram. A lot of pages have that acta non verba on there. It's up right up there with "I'm just a dude." Those are number one
Yeah.
and number two. I see those the most. One thing I wanted to ask you about, right, is your thoughts. Do how do I go about this? When Elon Musk was asked about his mind, he said it was like a storm. I think you are deep in your thoughts a lot, but not only deep in your thoughts, you think about your thoughts. So you're trying to see from an outside perspective what you're thinking about and look at all the angles of it. How wrapped up in your thought process do you get? I mean, if you didn't understand that at home, just rewind it and we'll start over from this point.
Yeah. Um, oh, that's a excellent question. So I guess I believe I've got a pretty good grasp on it. Again, this is a belief. But I believe I've got a fairly good grasp on it because I've been writing about it, speaking about it with my friends for the better part of 15 years now. And when you go and revisit your old thoughts, you know, with 5 more years of experience, 2 more years of experience, even you're able to really um, analyze again from like you were saying that top down view of like, man, that was stupid, or holy crap, that was spot on. Maybe my predictions were right, or my feelings were off base, or what have you. But if a lot of people talk about internal monologue, and I believe that if you're doing it the right way, it's not monologue at all, because otherwise you're just listening to one opinion and it's just one train of thought. And it's not even dialogue, it's polylogue. You should have all kinds of different, it's going to sound like schizophrenia or BPD, but you should have all kinds of competing perspectives in your mind, arguing out what is right, what is wrong, what is supposed to happen, what could happen, and whether people realize it or not, that's happening all the time. But if you make a concerted effort to give each of them a moment on the stage, then it makes it easier to parse out what they're trying to say. Um, yeah, the example that I think about a lot in my life at the moment, so I'm 31 years old now. No wife, no kids, no girlfriend or anything like that. And I had a relationship about a year ago. It was very serious, and I thought I was going to get married. And we had some conflict that kind of spiraled out of control to be way bigger than it should have been. And in retrospect, I don't believe I handled it in the best way. I let my feelings of feeling wounded by the other person's dialogue really affect me in a way that I shouldn't have allowed, and it's what kind of caused the wedge between us. And I spoke with my dad about it. Spoke with a couple of friends about it, and they're like, "Well, you can't beat yourself up." And it's like, well, I understand that, but I also have to be honest about where I went wrong, what I could have done better, what I don't want to do again in the future. And so now that I'm single again, I'm trying to navigate what that feels like, and it's been a while. And there are competing stages in a man's mind, or not stage. Pardon, they're competing characters in a man's mind. What one character sees a beautiful body and thinks, "Whoop, that's hot," and then another character in your mind thinks, "Well, you want um, a wife and kids and a stable relationship and so even good and moral people and people that you look up to as kind of those paragons of morality, they have those challenges inside of them, and whether people think it or not, they're just choosing to which voice to give the stage. Every single person that's in a faithful and dedicated relationship has feelings of lust. Every person that is single and lustful has feelings that they want a dedicated relationship. It's you're choosing to whom to give power and to whom to listen to. It's on this stage, and so that's the example that's been foremost in my mind as of recency. Is trying my best to listen to the character that wants the stable relationship, that wants the continuity, and the groundedness that comes with long-term companionship. But there, that guy on the other side of the stage that's lustful, he screams all the time. He yells at me, and we all go through that, and we go through that in many different arenas. There's a guy in me that wants to get after it in the gym every single day, and it's his favorite thing to do. There's a guy in me that wants to skip my runs sometimes and wants to, that rep was hard. I'll skip the next rep. I'll cut this set short. So we have all these competing desires in our mind at all times. And once you face them, like truly face them, and those bad ones, you give them their voice, you give them their time on stage. Jordan Peterson talked about this. You can't just shut those bad voices out and I'm not going to listen to it. They're still there. They're still screaming through the other side of the door. Alexander Solzhenitsyn said in the Gulag Archipelago, Volume 1, that the line between good and evil runs through the heart of every man. And I truly believe that we all have a bit of devilry inside of us and a little bit of angelic nature. And so those, again, I'm on a diatribe here, but concertedly giving every single one of those their due, concertedly giving every single one of those their flushed out thought, giving you their desires, the why behind their desires. Why do I want this? Why is this tugging at me? Okay, well, why is this competing thing tugging at me? What truly makes it that the part of me wants that, and flushing those out. So I don't get, it's gonna sound like I'm lying here after the whole rant I just did. I try not to get too wrapped up in them. I'm so used to doing it now. Yeah,
Bullshit.
I know exactly. I'm so used to doing it that it's become an automatic process for me, where I'm able to quickly reason through a lot of my thoughts. But as I said, I'm going to mess up in every way, shape, or form, as any human is. I thought when I was going through my breakup last year, I thought I was absolutely doing the right thing. I thought I was making the right decisions not only for myself but for her as well. And in retrospect, you look back on it, 9 months, almost a year later, and you're like, man, I said some stupid things, and I made the wrong choices, and I listened to the idiot in me, and I shouldn't have done it, and I was being too emotional about this, and I should have been more keyed into that. Again, without getting into the specifics, no matter how involved you are, how uninvolved you are in your thought process, you're gonna mess things up. And so giving those characters on the stage the bandwidth to criticize themselves, but to also give each voice maybe some grace, is really important. And the more you can certainly practice it, the more it becomes an automatic process that you don't have to envelop yourself in, if that makes sense.
I like that, how you said that. Have you seen the movie Basic? John
I,
Travolta.
I have not.
There's one line in there. It's a great movie, a lot of twists, surprise ending, great for the early 2000s, just a classic twist and turn surprise ending. But he has one line there. He says, murder is basic. And then he says a few more things, but he sums it up as everyone's capable of murder. And that's what you just said. Everybody's capable of
Yeah.
everything, and all of
Yeah.
those people all exist. And then back to what I said, the problem is choice. Who do you let the world see, or not let the world see? And that choice is up to you. And which path do you go down? And then all of those paths are more or less binary. If you make this decision, it goes this way. If you don't make that decision, it goes that way. So the problem is choice and what
Yeah.
path you're going to go down. And then we tie it back to special forces, right? Is, man, you need to let all of those things out at different times to varying
Yeah.
degrees to make that
Absolutely.
person happen. And
Yep.
that's another problem. People believe I can't be this person. Well, have you tried? Did you try to do it?
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot. Like, okay, the fitness side. Oh, I can't be fit. Okay, perfect example. Jason Sweet over at SOCOM Athlete. He posted up the results
Love him.
um, for his latest thing in Fort Lauderdale, and I looked at it and went, fuck, 655 miles or 655 500-yard swim. I went, God damn. And I just got out of the pool. First thing I saw was that. I'm like, I did 1,000 in 18 minutes. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like 18 minutes a 9. I would get like 8. Like, fuck. And I swim 3 days a week. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then he did 92 push-ups. All right. There's that end of it where you said these people can't be real, right? But look, hey, if you're aspiring towards these things and looking at somebody, you don't need to do that. You need to get yourself within this range. You can't get people get hyper fixated on the pinnacle. The pinnacle during the course, I was at the pinnacle only in the Charlie course. The rest of it, I was right in the middle. Like right in the middle of everybody, just hanging out, sucking like everybody else. Like, okay, we step into the Charlie course. I've worked construction my entire life, my whole life up to that point. Of course, I'm going to be there. And then I went right back down like everybody else into the sea. And you said live in these voices. Okay, let's give it a shot, right? Like, you're not the fittest. We can get you there. All these standards and all these other things, they're there. And this isn't unique to special forces, but you need the most amount of these different types of people that you have to be, or we call it different hats. You got to wear a lot of fucking hats. The
Absolutely.
military loves using hats. But if your thing is theater, fucking apply it to that. What do I need to do
Yeah.
to get this?
Yeah.
How do I be a standout in theater? Well, I'm memorizing, working little cards, talking to people. I had set designer and working with the people and all this other shit. This is not exclusive. All of these things that make you successful in one area will make you successful in the other. The only difference is in special forces, mm, the war part, like,
Yeah.
that part of things is you
Yeah.
can't always take a theater major and throw them into a battle and it'll be okay. But if you took a SF guy and threw him into theater, they're gonna fucking figure it out, right? I'll
Yeah.
find my role in there. So,
Yeah.
but some of the underlying thoughts and themes, and as you say, these voices, you're gonna have to figure out how to use them in the correct manner to be successful in going
Absolutely.
forward. How do you view, because you're very red, and we talked about it a little bit last time, but you're very red in Marcus Aurelius. Um, but how does the phrase play on you, or this? This is not it. I'm paraphrasing, but it's the more that you know or learn about yourself or learn about general knowledge. How does it play on you that now you're realizing that you don't know anything, because now you're moving into special forces and you're starting to see the other worlds and that are all out there that nobody else sees, and you're starting to realize, fuck, I don't know anything about the military. I don't know anything about life. I don't know anything how the government works and all this other shit, but you have an idea. But there is a point where you go, I don't know jack shit. How is that playing on your career of being aware of but not understanding a lot of these things that are going on around you, especially what you're in now?
I actually get excited about that kind of stuff. Um, it's gonna probably sound haughty or, you know, egotistical, whatever. I understand that, but I get the feeling a lot of times I've got a lot of stuff figured out. I've got people figured out. got processes figured out. When I figure things out, I'm like, I'm pretty content with, yeah, I've got this. And then boom, something comes out that surprises you. Like, whoa, I did not expect that. That completely changes my entire purview on this thing, especially when it's people. And to me, I get excited. I like the new opportunities, the unknown, the being wrong. It's a challenge. But in this line of work, you think you know how this process works, these entities interact. You find out there's a different entity that you've never heard of, and then you find out what they do, and you're like, "Whoa, we do that." And then well, okay, well, then there's these guys that also do this, and it's just this huge spider web of, you say the right acronyms, and everyone thinks you know something, and then everyone thinks that you're really spun up, and they come to you, hey man, how does this work? And you're like, I don't know, but I get jacked up, I get really excited when I run into things that I don't know. I'm voracious. I want to know it all. And because we'll never be able to, especially with this, with how hyper compartmentalized some facets of the organization are, and by design, and thank goodness they are. Uh, I get curious, I get greedy, I get a little nosy. I ask the questions. I find probably too many, and I just want to find out. So I guess I don't see the not knowing as, and then getting outside of the special operations realm and supplying it to life. I think that's the coolest damn thing that we have is death, because we're always not going to know something, and I've only got this finite amount of time to fill it with stuff, and I can't fill this little time with everything out there. I can't be an SF guy and a professional horseback rider and a NASA scientist and a theater major, and there's there's a lot you can do. There's an incredible amount you can do, but you can't do everything. And I think that's a gift, because it always leaves you with purpose. It leaves you with something to get excited about. And I think the moment that you I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but the moment that you believe that you have everything figured out is the moment that is the precise moment that you're wrong. And it's enjoyable to me that when I think I have a thing figured out, that it gets upended, and I get shown my own idiocy and naivety. So I like it. I look at it as opportunity.
So you watch Rick and Morty?
I do not
All right. So this one's a little bit on the Rick
feel
side.
bad. I've known none of your references yet.
No, that's all right.
I'm
That's
not
all
a
right.
big TV movie guy. Yeah.
Neither am I, but I do like watching the Rick and Morty. I realized that it was making me depressed though, because Rick, you, yeah, you would really enjoy Rick and Morty. As Elon Musk says, if you don't think Rick and Morty's funny, you're stupid. And
Okay. Yeah.
there's a really depressing, the baseline of it is very depressing. Rick is a very
Yeah.
complex character,
Okay.
but you would really enjoy that. And
Okay.
so, but there's one in there, and Morty, his grandson, is having a discussion with this guy at the table, and the guy basically said, "Happiness is a trap." Rick's afraid. Who have you met that's afraid to be happy? So going forward for yourself, would you rather be happy going forward or content in your endeavors going forward?
Hmm. I don't like contentness. Oof. With a dichotomous answer like that, I guess I'd rather be happy, but more than that, I like. I'm gonna throw in a third one, of course, because I gotta be a contrarian. I like fulfillment more than I like happiness. Because you could be, I think like, there's a lot of days in this job that I'm unhappy. I'm like, what the hell are we doing? What am I doing this for? None of this makes sense. I feel like I'm not accomplishing anything. I feel like we're not contributing to anything. But then when you get it done and you step back and you see what you're able to do, you're like, I'm fulfilled. I wasn't happy a lot of that time, but man, am I fulfilled now? And so happiness is fleeting. Happiness is eating a piece of cake on your birthday, or you know, getting to see
Because
your
it
friend
will
after a
end,
while.
right? No matter
It
best
will
case,
end.
it will end.
Yeah. But fulfillment is something else and entirely different. I think of the oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name, but he was a GB, and he started the Free Burma Rangers. For anyone who hasn't seen it, I highly recommend watching his documentary. I feel bad that I forgot his name now. Um, but that dude's spending his entire adult life in war zones. I mean, there's happy moments interspersed, but I can't imagine seeing kids dying a lot is making him happy by any stretch. But he's fulfilling himself by doing, uh, what he believes is God's calling to him. So there's a lot of unhappiness and specific turmoil and sadness and loss and death that he's encountering, but he's fulfilled in his purpose. So and if you're using content as an analog for that, I apologize for being flippant and convoluted about it. But I guess in that way, I would take content over happiness.
I like where you went, though. I wouldn't have been able to derive that. I don't think I'm astute enough from your page, but that is it, right? You in your content seem to be 18 good guy wise driving towards fulfilled over happiness or
Absolutely,
content. And I'm sure somebody's, a psychologist would be able to piece that together if you ask them that question. And what do you think from this? But I feel like that's what you're trying to portray. That's the
absolutely.
message with 18 good guy. Even though you will be a soft mentor if you continue doing this,
Yeah.
you will continue to be a hybrid athlete, I guess, and
Ugh,
and
and
you
into
will
battle and
continue.
all of it.
That I mean, but hybrid athlete. But now
Yeah,
you're a senior NCO with a junior
yeah,
NCO that you have to um, mentor to make what is it? Weight and tape and get promoted.
yeah, yep,
So everything's going to move forward until that and towards fulfillment. I like that.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
hopefully that's what your page looks like going forward and in everything that you're working for, man. I'm really happy
That
for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. That's the hope. Like I said, there's a couple more things that I would like to try in the military, and beyond that, the hope is to extend that exact sentiment hopefully beyond the military. And uh, I feel you as well. We have a chance to impact in a much broader sense than just our small community. Because there's people that are watching the example that special operations guys are setting and looking them at the paragon of whether it's achievement, morality, and mindset, and as popular as that term is, whatever it is, and whether they go soft or not, they're going to want to model themselves after that in some way, shape, or form. So I believe that having the opportunity to have the platform is as major of a blessing as it is also an opportunity to fulfill the responsibility that is having that specific platform.
You said you brought up Jordan Peterson earlier. So first book, what will I do with my pen of light? And it was the afterword in 12 Rules for Life, right? And he got that
Yep.
pen that lit up in the dark so he could write in the dark. What will I do with my pen of light? And so now I'm not, this isn't critical of the Q course or selection or anything, but there was, when I went through, there's this weird thing, IUW, right? And the course was whatever the course was. And I brought this up to a couple people. The Q course during, I think, those years, because of IUW, and the course in itself does this across the board all the time. But more so in those years because there were more people going through the course and there were more people getting dropped than ever before. The Special Forces qualification course created more anti-Green Berets than it did actual Green Berets. And now the schoolhouse, whether they realize it or not, has the benefits of reach and the negatives of reach. But now, God, they've got some successful Green Berets with platforms that are actual ambassadors for being a Green Beret. And I hope that somebody much smarter can start linking those things together so that they can counteract the ups and downs of the course. Because everything swings one way, it's going to swing back the other way. And I hope that they won't always make the right decision, but I hope they're making the best path forward for having the guys that need to be in the spotlight in front of it, doing the right thing the right way, and making Green Berets. Because Terminator Training, John Hamilton over at Infinite Grit, 18 Alpha
Yep.
Fitness, Steven, nutrition coach Steven, missing some of the other guys, they're making Green Berets. Whether the schoolhouse is working with them or not, Nick Lavery is making Green Berets.
Yes. Yep.
And and when people ask me, they're like, who's the guy right now? It's like, he's the guy. That motherfucker's the
Hmm.
guy. He's the one. Don't shine on me, shine on that guy. He's a big personality with the big voice, doing the right thing for the right people. And he got a lot of things going for him. And hopefully all those things get linked together, and the people that need to be in there, and we can all be the positive ambassador for this, because we all use this as a stepping stone to get through the door. Nick's still in uniform, fucking killing it, but we're all
Yeah.
out, right? And we use this as a little step to get ourselves just a little bit above everybody else in the picture, right? So you can see our faces above first. So if we're going to do that, then hopefully do it the right way, do the right thing the right way, and make good Green Berets going forward. And I hope that for you. You're doing it, whether you
Thank you.
like it or not. And I have now come to realize that I did not set out to do that, but I've come to realize that I am as well. And but what will I do with my pen of light going forward is hopefully the right thing. I think
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you coming back on the show for a second episode. I'm relieved. We got 100 minutes in, only one edit to take out of there. I really appreciate you coming on, brother. You got anything for me?
I'm honored to be on a second time. Thank you again. And this conversation was even more enjoyable than the last one. So again, I can't appreciate enough you having me on.
I'm honored. As usual. Bye, everybody.